Hi there, crafty pals. Louise with you today. Thanks so much for checking out my first share for February, Kitaholic Kits. I do love the start of the month where you get the first opportunity to play with a kit. There's always so much to look at, and sometimes just choosing the right or the way to start can be a little bit overwhelming. But in my case today, I was really drawn to these large chipboard titles, and there's this old technique that I haven't done for a little while where we mask off part of the title and we cover part of it with some embossing powder. Now you can also do this with the glitter and just good old PVC glue if you want to just paint part of it and then sprinkle glitter over the top. In my case, I'm actually going to use up some of my embossing powder stash because I have heaps from years and years ago when embossing powder was really popular, and I wanted just to add a little pop of colour. I did also toy with the idea of making the top of this black chipboard piece embossed as well. So I was going to do it in two-tone, just sparkly black at the top, but I quite like it just in the half and half. So I actually leave it plain, and I'm going to put the black embossing powder away and just leave it with the black top and the embossed powder at the bottom. Now I am going to cut out part of this video here, but what you need to know is that I do 2 coats of embossing powder. So I set the first one, which you can see me doing here, and I feel like it's so satisfying watching that embossing powder actually move across the heat when you add the heat gun. So 2 coats later, I'm going to set that aside to dry. Now I prefer not to peel the washi tape off directly because sometimes you will peel some of that embossing powder with it. So other than that, I have not prepped this chipboard piece in any way. I simply laid down the washi tape, added some clear embossing ink, and then embossed over the top of it with the heat gun. Now the embossing powder that I used is a Be Arty by Color Blast product. It's again been in my stash. I'm trying to think of what color it is, but off the top of my head I can't remember, but it was that sort of tealy color, and I chose that because you can see that there's a few little teal elements in this collection. So one of these pull apart background pieces, and then there's a little bit of teal in this background paper that I've chosen as well. So now that I've set aside my title, which is going to take up the main focus of my layout, I'm just building this cluster around my photo. Now my boys recently graduated primary school, so this photo is actually one that my fabulous sister-in-law sent me. It is the first day of school and then their last day of school, which was kind of cool that she had that photo of us walking in and then walking out on the last day. So really lucky to get that photo and super grateful. Now that I've got that sort of teal color enhancement with the title, I pull out a few little teal bits and pieces. Most of these don't make it onto the final layout, but I want to have something in terms of the embellishments to actually work with, and pulling out a few little pieces to tuck in around that cluster. There was not a great deal of planning or structure involved beyond what I knew I wanted to do with the title, and actually finding a position for the title was kind of challenging because they are quite large. So I would definitely, if I'm going to use any of these titles again, I would pre-plan and actually make sure I knew where those titles were going to go. Now I've popped this aside and had a little think about it, and I need this title to have a little bit more of a pop off that background. So I've torn this brighter piece of paper and I'm actually going to sit that title over the top so that the embossed piece is in that darker color, and then the non-embossed part, so just the plain black part, is sitting over the white. So it has that contrast kind of feel to it. And I need to position this in such a way that my photo is still going to fit. So I've got this great cluster going on, but now I'm kind of a little bit low on space. And I felt like the background was just a little bit overwhelming. So I'm going to, as you've noticed, trim off a little bit of the outside so I can mount this. And I'm also going to add just a little bit of white gesso using my spatula. No structure to this again. It's purely just to give that photo and the cluster a bit of an area to sit on so that it's not overwhelming. Now, do you remember these Nuvo drops? These happened to be sitting quite close on my desk because I'm stash busting a few mixed media products at the moment. So I'm using the mixed media products just to add a few little splatters, and I had trouble deciding what color I wanted in the background. I didn't like any of the patterns that we had with this month's kit, so I went back to a previous kit and I pulled out this really bright orange. I knew it needed a pop of color in that background. You know, I had the black, I had the blue, I had the teal, so going back to this previous kit and pulling out a solid patterned paper for mounting. All right, that's my first share. I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, if you're not already a subscriber, I would love you to hit that button.